Oh yeah, thanks. And see what I do though, like really, like the big idea is that these like I use these as archetypes. I use this stuff as archetypes and educational things. Okay, you know how in like real life, there are places, and these places have a story. And if you know the story and you know the place, you have a connection to the story and to the place. And when a whole group of people have the same story and the same connection to the same place, you guys have like a community. It binds you together. It's like I'm from this town, I know this place in town, and there's a story about this place. And all I have to do is say the name of the place. And if you're from that place and you know that story, you'll look at me and be like, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That's that magical connection, right? That special connection. Native Americans have that with literally everything. Like their concept of society is different, but the way they held social cohesion was they looked at the natural world around them that would never ever change because God made it that way, right? That's the natural way. That mountain is there because God put that mountain there. And here's the story of that mountain. And everyone in our tribe is going to know this story. And then it helps tell us who we are. So it's great, right? It's great because then you become rooted to your community and your environment at the same time. And that's why it's such a tragedy. It's such a human, like a torture. I don't know how to describe it. To take these people and literally rip them away from the places that they attach their stories and everything. That mountain that for generations they told that everyone knows their story, all of a sudden they had to leave and they can never see that mountain again. So the story that they've handed down for generations and they've pointed to that mountain, they can't do it anymore. And if you can't do it anymore, it's really hard to remember who you are. This is the plight of the Native Americans. And I recognize, I look at myself, right? And I'm like, well, here I am, right? This land is didn't just magically spawn. It's not like Minecraft where it just generates. Like Minecraft is the dream of the settler. The dream of the settler. Because the settler can explore forever. And everything that the land will spontaneously generate forever. It will never stop generating. And every time the land generates, it generates as a virgin. It generates with zero history. There's no history. There's no humans. There's nothing there. It is a blank slate for the settler to write their story upon. Isn't that nice? Isn't that a great dream? But that's a dream. That shit ain't real. That shit ain't real. They tell us that in school. They teach us that's the way it was in school, but that shit ain't real. When the settlers came to this land, there were civilizations here. There were cultures. There were networks. There were stories. Generations of humans living, breathing, empires, like everything. And it was all like destroyed and erased because for the settler mind to keep pushing westward across, they had to tell themselves, oh, we're saving the land from these people who aren't really using it. They're not really using it the right way, so we're going to take it from them and use it the right way. Oh man, what a contradiction. And that way of thinking washed over the land, and when I grew up as a kid, they taught me they taught me, oh yeah, the settlers came and they had to endure hardships because there was nothing here. Oh, but the Indians were nice savages. Dude, what a mind fuck. Because they teach you that, and then but that shit ain't real. And when you come out here and you talk to people and they're like, yeah, dude, I'm a descendant of the people y'all tried to kill. It's like, fuck. How do you reconcile that? How do you reconcile that? Shit. Fuck. So I'm like, all right, dude, you're an American. I'm an American. We're both Americans. But the history you tell me is real. It's not a made up thing. It's a real thing. Okay, and I believe in justice and you believe in justice. Let's come to justice together. Yeah, dude. Okay. Yeah. But that's the thing, right? We're all Americans. We're all Americans, and there's a way for white people. It's not that being white is necessarily bad. It's that okay. It's not a melting pot, right? It's kind of a melting pot, but you have to also respect the individual cultures because our diversity, you don't want to become a homogenous one thing. Our diversity is our strength. It's what makes us powerful, and people don't believe it, but I'm telling you, that's the way it is. Europe is trying to catch up to us in terms of a diversity. They're importing people because they recognize that diversity is where it's at. I mean, you need to keep the ideals, right? The overall ideal, the superstructure, but how you express those ideals are entirely up to you, and it looks different for every culture. So if the ideals are truth, justice, and liberty, if everyone agrees, if all Americans agree, we all agree, that's what we're about. We all Americans are about truth, justice, and liberty. Cool. If we all agree upon that, then the next step is to see, well, how do you express it? How do you express it? How do you express it? And then everyone has a different way of doing it, and then different colors come out, and it's amazing. It's amazing. Oh man, I'm going off in so many tangents, but history, yeah. Okay, so now that I recognize that I'm on stolen land, I have to find a way, and my mind is filled with stories that come from Europe. Yeah, take a hit. Can I take a pause? Can I go over there for like 2 seconds and come back, or will Twitch kill me? Okay, 2 seconds. I mean, I'll keep talking and stuff. I can keep talking, but yeah. So I have a debt to pay to the Native American people, and that debt is to recreate American culture, because right now my head is filled with European culture and history, but that shit isn't from here. That's not American history. American history and culture, dude, we're awesome. Like, I don't think Americans understand how awesome they are. They understand it, but in the wrong way. They have a superficial understanding of it. like humans have had kings for fucking ever. And for the Americans to make something without kings, it was like unfucking believable. And that's why everyone copied us. Or, well, they did better than us, actually. Our version was like the beta. And everyone's like, all right, we're not going to do that. But okay, hold on. What if I go on mute? Let me go on mute for a second. Okay, mute. Okay, I'm back. I didn't go anywhere. Let me get more coffee. Oh, I forgot what I just said. Okay, like the Vikings. Let's see. What was Did the Vikings have kings? They had kings. Dude, everyone had kings until you got rid of them. I mean, Americans were awesome when they got rid of them. And so the other day I was talking to this Danish guy, and he was telling me about his king, and I'm like, man, you guys still have kings? And they're like, yeah, they don't have any power. But I'm like, but you still have a king. Okay, what am I doing here? Oh, I'm getting my stuff back. I put it in here because I was being clever. I lost all my stuff. Where's all my stuff? Did I leave it in the other place? Oh no, this is it. So you're telling me that Vikings either had to marry into a Christian family or basically use as a puppet? I don't under. Oh, are you saying how Vikings were Christianized? Like, well, brought into like Christianity, subjugated, subjugated to Christianity. um, yeah. Let's see. Hold on. I gotta fix my stuff. Why do I have eggs? Too much wheat. Oh man, I'm getting lost. I'm trying to do too many things at once, like drink coffee and like I gotta focus on like stuff. Anyways, man, I got lost on my story. I I mean like just the story of history is fun to think about because it has so many implications about stuff for the present. Like how did we get here? Like like why did we even start this trip? Like okay, so I already made my dispensers. I have enough. I don't need any more. Okay. Bop 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 bop. So dispensers and then out there is my redstone. So let's get going back to work. Okay. But so despot. But basically the Vikings had basically the same thing. It was all the same thing. It was one the power was concentrated. The idea, so that's the thing, right? The amazing thing about about democracy is the idea that you don't concentrate power. Instead, you diffuse power into the people. Now, the understanding the founding fathers had wasn't really the best, but they had an understanding of it, right? They started going somewhere with it. So I need dispensers, observer, redstone, and a block to build on. Yep. Okay. Like that's why America. That's so. Oh no. so so if you like, yeah, that's why that's why the American thing is great. Is because they took power and instead of concentrating into the hands of a few people, an aristocracy or a king, instead they spread it out. And at that time, it was agrarian. Uh, it was so it was different. like the way that things were done was different. It was agrarian. It was farmer. And the Industrial Revolution totally changed stuff. Okay. Yeah, that's all right. I don't think. What did I even talk about? You said Viking kings were called Jarl or warlord. So yeah, but and what I was saying is the idea is basically the same. Like there's two ways you can adjust, you can structure society. Power, right? Power. You can either concentrate all the power into a little area, so all the wealth and power into a little area, or you spread all the wealth and power out and spread it out as far as you can, so you don't concentrate it. Instead, it's everywhere. Two different ideas. So the Americans were crazy to try to do the idea where you spread it everywhere, and through government. Like they tried before with communism, but it never stuck. So the reason why democracy stuck is because the founding fathers didn't have a great idea of it at first. Like their idea was not to spread the power and wealth around. Their idea was more like yank power away from the king and give it to the aristocracy, which was themselves at the time. Rich landowners. So yeah, they didn't like us. We were the mob. Yeah, they didn't like us. So it wasn't perfect, right? The founding fathers weren't like super awesome and perfect people, but they started the idea that you don't concentrate wealth and power. Or they didn't start it, but they had an iteration of it. I used the wrong thing. And then so that's where we're at, right? That's the two main forces operating in our society, American society right now. You're either wanting to spread the wealth around into the people, or you want to concentrate the wealth and power into the hands of the few. And I don't think a lot of people understand this. I don't think I think a lot of people are missing this big picture, and they get caught up on other things. Have you seen the movie The Matrix? Senor Reban. You don't have to listen. The movie The Matrix. Yo, dude, a lot of people have not seen that movie. And like, it kind of freaks me out, but a lot of people have not seen that movie. Okay, so do you understand what he means when he says there is no spoon? Yeah, right. I can't wait for the fourth. But I think the fourth is just going to be a reiteration of the first with a twist. No. It's different than that. Okay, let me show you. When I was in college, my professor, Dr. Mary Stewart, at the University of Nevada, Reno, tasked me with identifying a social norm and then breaking it, and then recording what happens. I mean, I couldn't and this is back before cell phones, back before camcorders, or like cell cams. This is like, I'm old, right? So I had to basically look at it and then write it down afterwards. So some people, the way they did it, they went into an elevator, and you know how people, everyone turns around and looks at the door when they go in the elevator. He's like, that's a social norm. Everyone does it. So I'm gonna break it. So this person walked into the elevator, and everyone turned around, but they didn't. And then they just recorded. They didn't break character. They just acted normal like they were supposed to. And then they looked at it, but they're watching what everyone else did and how everyone else got uncomfortable. So I was like, And then another person, the social norm they broke. What's another social norm? I can't even. Oh yeah, was they were with a group of friends, a whole bunch of people, and there was a big conversation going along, and then their cell phone rang, and instead of leaving the conversation, the person stayed there and just talked on their cell phone really loud in the middle of everyone's conversation, and to see what happened. And one person tapped the person on the shoulders like, "Hey, why don't you go over there?" So actually, that one didn't happen. I lied. Because it was before cell phones. But I just imagined as if it happened. It happened later on when I identified this. So I lied. You caught me. That happened after I saw this pattern. Here, let me just tell you, the one I saw, the thing that I saw, the social norm that I saw was that, back in the 70s, you can see men wearing really short tops that show off their abs and show off their belly back in the 70s. And so in the 90s, right? In the 90s, I'm like, that's a social norm. Like, we don't do that anymore. That's a social norm. I'm going to break it. So I borrowed my sister's top, right? She has a crop top, whatever, like a tube top. It was pink. It had frilly, puffy shoulders, but like short shoulders, but it showed off my belly. Ooh, hey, what's up, creeper dude? And then around like 9, 10 at night, so I put that on, right? And I went everywhere wearing that thing. I went everywhere. I went to the grocery store. I went to my classes. I went to lunch. And then, just to see what happens. My friend would not hang out with me. He's like, I'm not going to hang out with you like that. And he's like, I won't be seen in public with you like that. And then at night, like 10 o'clock at night, I went with some other friends. We went to a pool hall. I think it's called Q and Cushion, but I can't remember. It's on 4th Street. 4th and Keystone in Reno. I don't know if it's even there anymore. I went there, and I at 10 at night. It's a pool hall, dude. It's a pool hall. Everyone's a bunch of working class people playing pool in a smoky pool hall because people back then you could smoke inside. And I went in there and I was wearing my sweatshirt, and then after we started playing, I looked around. I took off my sweatshirt and I was wearing the frilly tube top. And dude, the fucking vibe absolutely changed. It went from like I could feel the like people. Hey, everybody looking at me. Hey, everybody looking at me. So I was like, okay, I'll just keep playing pool, like act like nothing's happening. And like, but yeah, people were mumbling, people were saying stuff. And then eventually a guy came up to me and said, hey man, if you're going to be like that, you got to get the fuck out of here. I'm going to kick your ass. Get the fuck out of here. I'm going to kick your ass. What the fuck you doing? What the fuck you doing? Punk, what you doing? And so I'm like, holy shit, like they're going to get violent. The only thing I did is put on the sweatshirt again, the hoodie. When I put the hoodie back on and no one could see what I was wearing, it all went back to normal. So there's two ways of looking at it. You could look at it sort of like, have you seen the movie Inception? When in the dream, all the people start like freaking out if you start acting, if you start bringing attention to yourself. It was sort of like that. But another way of thinking about it, in terms of the Matrix, is that you have to understand right now, all of us are in a matrix right now. Not a simulation. It's not a simulation, but it's a fake world. It's a not real world that people believe is real. And because they believe it's real and they act as if it's real, it becomes real because they make it real. So you have to understand all around us, right? What is the matrix? The matrix is control. That's what Morpheus said. The matrix is control. So think of the world around you. Like you right now, you by yourself as an individual only exist because there is society, right? You only exist because society exists. There's only the individual because there's a bigger group around you. You are a product of that bigger group. And the moment, like when you're born, you are a blank slate. You are nothing. But the moment you're born, society starts slapping labels on you. Like, oh, it's a boy. And when you say boy, you slap that label. That label comes with all sorts of expectations. All, like, when you say boy, and you think like future profession for this human being, when you slap on the label of boy, future professions of this human being, you think of like all sorts of stuff, right? I don't have to even say it, but I bet you none of them are secretary or manicurist. You see the kind of assumptions that people have? Like, also it's a human baby full of potential, limitless. But if light waves bounce off that baby's skin a certain way, it changes everything. Just because of the way the light waves bounce off the skin. It doesn't change anything else about the baby. It's just the way the light waves bounce. And because of that, that baby's future has all sorts of preconditions slapped on it. The moment it's born, it hasn't even done anything. It's barely breathed. And society has already determined its future on a bunch of levels. Oh man, because this is true. And so I'm just, you already know it. I'm just trying to make it clear for people. Okay. So society exists all around you. And if you act in a way that doesn't jive with the rules that society has given you, then it will fight you back. It will fight you back. It will literally fight you back. How would it do that, right? Because society, like it's like it's an emergent thing. Society isn't a thing you can grasp. It's not a thing you can hold. You cannot point to society. Right? It's emergent. How can society fight you if it lives on a different level? Well, it goes through an agent. It needs an agent. It needs an agent, right? It can't do it. It needs an agent to do it for it. So what happens? Right? Society itself lives on a different level. It can't come down here on the individual human level to do it. It needs a human to do it for it. So what it does is there's humans who are observing, right? They're observing this person breaking the rules. They don't even know they're doing it, right? They're not even aware of it, but they're being transformed into an agent of the Matrix because they're there to reinforce the rules of the Matrix. And so they go and they do whatever it takes to reestablish the rules of the Matrix. And then once that has been reestablished, the agent releases its vessel, the human, and goes back to wherever it came from. And the human's like, I don't even know what happened. That's why when racists get called out, they get real hurt. They're like, oh, why are you calling me a racist? I'm not a racist. I'm not a bad person. because racists are bad persons. But yet they say racist ass stuff. So you call them on it, but they don't even notice it, right? It's because they're not aware. They're not even aware of the fact that they're being used as an agent of social control, because that's what racism is. White supremacy has a certain way of structuring society, and if you break the white supremacy rules to make sure that everyone is equal, so, like if you're aligned with the white supremacist ideology, like even unconsciously, you will be taken over by an agent of white supremacy, and you will reinforce the rules of white supremacy. So, like maybe you're walking down the street and you see a biracial couple. Like, if you're free, you'd be like, cool, biracial couple, whatever. But if you're not free, you'll see it and you won't even know you're doing it. But you'll act. You'll say something. You'll do something. You'll whatever to reinforce the rules of society, and in this case, white supremacy. So you can there's a I sound like I'm making this shit up, right? But I am not. I am not making this up, right? I'm like educated, right? So I don't make this up. I'm reading what someone else said. This person is Max Weber. Let me write that down. Max Weber.
Pogo Kuro says Max Weber.
Yeah, no, he doesn't. Pogo Kuro says Max Weber, because Max Weber is German. So it's Max Weber, not Max Weber. Max Weber is Anglo. Max Weber is German. So Max Weber is the one who came up a long time ago, came up with this idea of the iron cage.
Pogo.
Yeah. So he's the one who would tell you all about the fact that there are these hidden bars of society, that humans are trapped in an iron cage of rationality. That they act in a way because to them it's rational to act that way. And it's rational to act that way to them because it's been implanted in them since they were like babies, before they even had a chance to do anything about it. So in order for humans to become anyone, right, to become free, they have to re-examine their own internal code, like the things that have been implanted into them, and then stop themselves from reinforcing the matrix, right? So if you're free and you see two humans acting freely together, legally and freely together, where they don't harm anyone or anything, it's utterly pure love, you'd be cool with it. However, if you're not free, you see two humans engaged in free acts of love, not hurting anything, not doing just pure love, you will condition it. You will condition it by saying, are they the correct gender? Are they the correct age? Are they the correct race? Are they the correct religion? Are they the correct biology, whatever? Like you will find ways, or are they the right class? Like anything, right? Looking for ways to divide it, to chop it up, and then then you will try to reinforce whatever arbitrary rule is that you'll place. You lose control of yourself. So let me come all the way back to there is no spoon. What he is talking about, what that kid is talking about, are these social norms. People feel that these social norms are actually real, that they're actually physically something solid and tangible that's immutable and you cannot change. They think it's really, really, really there. They've reified it. It's called reification. They've taken an idea and believe in it so much that to them it becomes real, and so they act as if it is real. One example of this is gender. Gender. What is gender? Gender are particular roles that people play, and a lot of times it's assigned to them by society. But they can choose their own. It started to become that they can choose their own, but it used to be that it was assigned. But gender, what is it? It's a role, right? But is it attached to anything? Is there anything on my physical body that says gender? No. You might point to my bits and say, oh, that bit indicates a role for you. Then I'll say, well, why? Why? There's no actual reason for me to be assigned a role based on my bit. There's none. There's no actual real reason. People think there's a reason because that's the way it's always been done, but there's no actual thing there. So if you do something to break it, like I say that there's no gender. So I'm going to wear a crop top, which is normally only for girls, but I'm a dude, I'm a guy, I'm a man. I'm going to wear this crop top. And when I do, it breaks the norm of gender. And when I break the norm of gender, people who want to reinforce the traditional norm of gender act to make sure that traditional norm is reinforced. They'll ridicule me. They'll attack me. I'm not going to hang out with you. Oh, you look stupid. Oh, I'm going to hit you if you don't change. And once you conform to the norms, oh, everything goes back to cool. So you have to find a space, right? Now there's a space where you can be free and a space where you have to conform to the rules of the matrix. Society. And it's not that, and you want to, so the free humans want to expand the space of freedom for humans as far as possible. I mean, it's not that society is bad. No, I'm not saying society is bad. You can because it made us, right? Society made us. But it's it's who gets expressed in society. And right now, in certain states, that the people being expressed in society is white supremacy. And you can see it in their government. And in other states, it's not, the white supremacy isn't so pronounced. It might be there, but it's less pronounced. So we're always I am moving toward multiracial democracy, right? My ideal is to take wealth and power away from the billionaires where it's concentrated, away from the old money who of dynasties who just hoard it and hoard it and hoard it, and give it to the children who hoard it and hoard it and hoard it. Take that and then disperse it back into the people. I want to basically make billionaires illegal. And the way I do it is through taxes. You could have $999 million, but if you have $1 billion, it gets taxed and made into tax to provide health care for the poorest people and to provide a home for homeless. Sorry, dude, you don't get. You can find a space if you want to. $999 million is enough money to fly into space. But you can't have $1 billion if we have homeless people. You can't have $1 billion if we have people without health care who are dying of preventable diseases. If there's suffering that we could stop with money and you have all the money, then you can't have all the money. But on the opposite side are people who believe just as strongly in the opposite of what I'm saying. They believe truly that there's one group of people, the white people, whoever they are, right? Because there really is no white people. That's a made-up thing, right? Remember I told you about reification? Like, did you ever look into the idea of where did white come from? Like, white is a made-up thing, made up by slavers in order to keep indentured servants and Africans from joining forces against the slavers. So back in the day, it was against the church to enslave a Christian. So that's how slavers got around the taboo of enslavement. They said, oh, we can enslave these people because they're not Christian. Well, eventually, the Africans became Christianized. And so now the excuse of, oh, we can enslave them because they're not Christian doesn't hold water anymore. So they needed to have another excuse to enslave them. At the same time, right, you have a whole bunch of poor Europeans who are just super, super poor from wherever country they are. They don't look at themselves as white. They look at themselves as French, or did France even exist? Yeah, French or English or Spanish or whatever, right? Castellano, whatever. Like they Dutch, like they didn't have white. There was no such thing as white. And if it wasn't white, they'd say they were Christian as opposed to Muslim. or Jewish or something. And so once the Africans became Christianized, their excuse like disappeared. So they had to make up a new thing to justify the enslavement of black people, and the way they did it is like, oh well, it's because we treat you better because your skin's white and their skin's not white, and they just made it up. They just made it up, dude. Where did it come from? Here, white. Do I have it? I can I'm trying to it doesn't matter who the first ones were, right? I don't care who the first ones were. They did slavery forever. I'm talking about slavery in America, right? I'm an American. That's what I'm concerned about. So, and American slavery was particularly bad. It wasn't like the other slavery. Slavery back in the day was a lot different. Slavery, slavery wasn't like chattel slavery. When they did slavery here, the British did awful slavery. Let me look up that article, dude. The invention of whiteness. That's what it's called. Redstone lapis lazuli. There it is. Can you see that? Yeah, it's up there. So here, let me read it to you. The plantation owners understood very well that their cruel treatment of indentured Europeans and their even crueler treatment of enslaved Africans might lead to thoughts, or worse, of vengeance. Significantly outnumbered, they lived in constant fear of uprisings. They were particularly afraid of incidents such as Bacon's Rebellion in 1676, which saw indentured Europeans fighting side by side with free and enslaved Africans against Virginia's colonial government. To ward off such events, the plantation owners initially sought to protect themselves by giving their Christian servants legal privileges not available to their enslaved Negroes. The idea was to buy off the allegiance of indentured Europeans with a set of entitlements that, however meager, set them above enslaved Africans. Towards the end of the 17th century, this scheme witnessed a significant shift. Many of the laws that regulated slave and servant behavior, the 1681 Servant Act in Jamaica, for example, which was later copied for use in South Carolina, began to describe the privileged class as whites and not as Christians. The economic utility of whiteness helped spread it rapidly around the world. Du Bois was not wrong to call it a religion, For, like a religion, it operated at every psychological, sociological, and political scale, from the most intimate to the most public. Like a religion, too, it adapted to local conditions. What it meant to be white in British Virginia was not identical to what it would mean in New York before the American Civil War, in India during the Raj, in Georgia during Jim Crow, in Australia after Federation, or in Germany during the Third Reich. But what united all these expressions was a singular idea that some group of people called white was naturally superior to all others. As Benjamin Disraeli, the Victorian Prime Minister and one of the most committed race ideologists of his time, put it, race implies difference. Difference implies superiority, and superiority leads to predominance.